and the uniparty swamp, better described as a sewer, declaring that support for Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. Actually, the real threat to democracy is that we have had a government that has used its power to not just silence the voices and views of millions of Americans, but have self-righteously carried out an attempted coup d'etat on a sitting president. There's been collusion with powerful and wealthy social media companies and the mainstream media, all to manipulate our elections by restricting a free press and free speech. This election that we're in this year will determine if America survives as a land of the free and home of the brave, or if we're just going to be shipwrecked on the shores of socialism. My contempt for what pretends to be journalism today grows by the day.
Sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarmingly, some media outlets publish things that aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Challenge you on one of the statements that you made in the tail end of the campaign in the midterms.
Here we go.
If you don't mind, Mr. President, that this caravan was an invasion.
You and I have a difference of opinion.
But do you think that you demonized immigrants in this election?
No, not.
But your campaign had an ad showing migrants climbing over walls and so on.
That's true. But they weren't actors.
They're not going to be doing that.
They weren't actors. Well, no, it's true. Do you think they were actors? They weren't actors. They didn't come from Hollywood. I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one other question, Mr. President.
Just sit down, please. Well, when you report fake news, when you report fake news, which CNN does a lot, you are the enemy of the people. Go ahead.
Mr. President, what do you say to your critics who say that you are creating a national emergency, that you're concocting a national emergency here in order to get your wall because you couldn't get it through other ways?
What do you think? Do you think I'm creating something? Ask these incredible women who lost their daughters and their sons. Okay? Because your question is a very political question, because you have an agenda. You're CNN. You're fake.
This is not an international port of entry. This is not designated as a port of entry to make a legal claim for asylum. Okay? Anybody that comes into our country between ports of entry, they're doing it in an illegal way.
Political ponds. No doubt about it. Our border is secure.
We are securing the border. This is something that's incredibly important to this president. So to say that we're not doing enough, Peter, is just falsely, categorically wrong.
Well, Griff, good morning, of course. Just watching that video, it's a very powerful video, those images. It really shows, the situation that our state troopers, our National Guard soldiers, Border Patrol agents are dealing with on a daily basis, that many situations that the American people are unaware of. But it was very upsetting to see what took place in El Paso, Texas, especially when you had hundreds of illegal immigrants that just breached that,
Maybe, just maybe, the problem is the arrogance and elitism of those who look down their privileged noses at working class people who have seen their paychecks and spending power decimated by the economic policies of socialism. Or maybe those who have had their traditional values of faith and family sneered at by those who irrationally believe that little boys can just announce that they're really little girls, or that girls can declare they're boys, and even have taxpayers pay to have their bodies permanently mutilated. Now, these same people believe that a perfectly healthy unborn baby can be dismembered in its mother's womb right up until the moment of birth. These are the so-called leaders who in the name of security go through our bags and put their government-gloved hands all over our bodies just for us to get on an airplane. But then allow 10 million illegal entries of people who have no ID, no passport, not even a library card. While veterans of our country, people who've worn our uniform, they've kept us free, while they sleep on streets in makeshift tents and cardboard boxes, those crossing over our wide-open border illegally are given hotel rooms, 3 meals a day, health care, and in places like New York, gift cards worth as much as $10,000.
Tonight, New York City's mayor pushing back on criticism of a new $50 million program to hand out prepaid debit cards to migrant families.
We need to dispel the rumor that we gave American Express cards to everyone.
Adams insisting the prepaid cards would curb the cost of inefficient food distribution that has led to expensive food waste, potentially saving taxpayers roughly $7 million a year. Adding the cards can only be used for food and baby supplies, with a limit of up to $1,000 per month for a family of 4.
If this is successful, we're going to expand it even more.
The pilot program drawing immediate criticism, including from rapper 50 Cent, who went on to social media to vent his frustration, writing, "Maybe Trump is the answer."
This week, we found out that not all the illegal immigration is sneaking across the border. We discovered that over 320,000 illegal immigrants were secretly flown by the U.S. government at your expense from Central and South America directly into at least 43 American airports. And then they got dropped off. So you get to pick up the tab for their living expenses, education, and health care.
Biden administration reportedly admitting to secretly flying 320,000 illegal migrants into 43 U.S. airports last year. This is a blockbuster admission.
You might not be able to afford your own food, medicine, and education for your kids, but you're expected to pay for people who have no legal right to be here and who jumped the line in front of those who have patiently waited to legally immigrate to the United States.
I became a citizen since 1980. I didn't come that way. I passed through the right channel. Why don't them pass through the right channel? They should secure the border.
And the reason they have waited is because they genuinely want to be American. They want to join us in building a free country where hard work and responsibility can result in a dream come true. Under President Obama, the IRS targeted conservative, Christian, and pro-life groups. Remember the name Lois Lerner?
Being replaced, Lois Lerner is in charge of that division that targeted conservative groups. On Wednesday, she told a House committee she did nothing wrong. Then she invoked the Fifth Amendment. According to Senator Chuck Grassley, Lerner was asked to resign, but she has refused. She is now on paid administrative leave.
Hey, they got caught, but not one person got charged with using the power of government to strip away the rights of American citizens for their political views. You may not even remember, but the Obama Justice Department tapped the phones of journalists like my friend James Rosen, even his parents, as well as tapping the phones of the Associated Press. Nobody got arrested.
To uncover Rosen's source that quickly focused on Rosen himself. The level of government surveillance over a reporter was unprecedented. Agents monitored Rosen's movements in and out of the State Department. They searched his personal emails and combed through his cell phone records.
Donald Trump messed up the whole plan by beating Hillary Clinton back in 2016. The deep state went after him even before he was sworn in, and they have ruthlessly sought to destroy him personally, professionally, and politically. Joe Biden was supposedly elected despite barely popping out of his basement in 2020. And he's ramped up the abuse of government power to a level I never thought I'd see. Trump officials like Peter Navarro got shackled and jailed. Journalists like Stephen Baker were arrested, perp walked across a federal courthouse lawn because he had the audacity to report on the January 6 riots at the Capitol. Pro-life activists, people like Paul Vaughn, he was just on our show recently, are right now threatened with 11 years in prison for singing and praying at an abortion clinic in protest. You see, this election is not about Democrats and Republicans anymore. It really isn't. It's about freedom versus a totalitarian government who wishes to tell half of America to just shut up and go away. And if you vote for the people who are destroying freedom and justice in this country because you don't like the tweets of Donald Trump, then you lose the right to complain when your children get taken from you if you don't consent to their surgical gender reassignment, or if you're not allowed to have a credit card because you have the audacity to own a firearm. I want to make it real clear. I don't worship Donald Trump. I don't. When I hear people say, oh, these people that worship Donald Trump, I don't worship Donald Trump. I only worship Jesus Christ. But I do love my country. I love my freedom. And I love my family. And I absolutely will not help elect people who hate everything I stand for and who want to use the government to punish me for thinking and speaking for myself. And I hope you won't either.